It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. No offense to my girl Jane, but that sounds like some hetero nonsense.
All right.
We pulled you in and then we took a turn.
We did. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody.
Happy Mardi Gras.
Woo-hoo.
Indeed. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well.
Welcome to Into the Austenverse. I'm David Campbell.
I'm Lisa Campbell, and you are?
Richard Carroll.
Yay!
Yay! Should we just say who Richard is in comparison to yourself and ourselves?
Comparison, yeah.
We're like, no,
Compare and contrast.
He's a man. No.
Yes.
Go ahead.
In relation.
In relation,
to me.
I meant to,
Yeah.
yes.
So Richard is my best friend of, 32 years.
And the rest.
33, 34.
Wow.
Yeah. 34 years.
From a very young age, obviously. Yes.
Oh my goodness. So we went to school together in England, and then I moved to Australia because of you.
Yeah.
I take full
And
responsibility.
I was like, hooey, room for one more. I came out here for Lisa and Campbell's wedding, and that party's still going on.
Yeah.
18 years later.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is indeed.
Mhm.
Yes, and you're also a theatre director and
Writer.
and creator of your own works.
Yeah.
And also, what I think is very interesting about today is, in addition to being a homosexual gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
and an English scholar,
Sure.
you are also an adapter of existing works into new frameworks.
Nice, I have done that.
Oh, yeah, that's
true. Yes. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yes, please.
Well, I mean, last year I did a new adaptation of The Pirates of Penzance at the Hayes Theatre in Sydney, which was a 5-person version of the show, but we kind of replotted and rethought the characters and stuff. So that was quite taking a canonical work and reimagining it. But also my production of Calamity Jane has run on and off for the last sort of 8 years. And although we use the original text of the musical that people know and love, we also have thankfully been given permission to play fast and loose with it, and we set the whole thing in a saloon and we really upped the queer subtext. So yeah, looking at it with fresh eyes, I suppose. Yeah, it's something that I love. Yeah, I love like those stories that we all have a familiarity with, because obviously it creates an instant bond. We like the audience come in, and the performers and the creators and the audience all have something that's already shared, and then we're like, how can we play with this? So yeah.
I think that's what makes you perfect for today, because we are doing Fire Island.
Yeah.
And but before we get to that, Lisa, where can everybody find us?
They can find us on Instagram at Into the numerical 2, Into the Austenverse. On TikTok, it is the same, Into the numerical 2, Into the Austenverse. On YouTube, it is Into the Austenverse is the name of our channel. And just to let you know that we only generally put up the full episodes on YouTube. I've had a couple of people contact me this week looking for the bonus episodes on YouTube, and they're not there. There are a couple. There's one with Magda, there's one with Hilary Davidson, there's one with Ray Coulthard, our Muppet Christmas Carol one, but in general, they're not there because we do those at home and we don't have these wonderful facilities that we have now.
There's no lights and sound. Yeah. No one wants to see us like trying to share a mic at home in
being the lovely
office.
Boylan sisters. Yeah.
Under the doona.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future we will get to that, but it's not going to be anytime soon. So please don't look for them because they're not there. But these are here.
Thank you to our 7 YouTube listeners for actually putting pen to paper as well. That's lovely.
7? We've got 150 subscribers on YouTube.
Do
now.
we really?
We do.
Whoa, that
Time
is
to
huge.
monetize. Let's go.
Yeah.
Make it public. All right. So, Richard, just to bring you into the Austen world, obviously you studied English. Did you study Austen at high school or at university?
Yes and yes. I did Pride and Prejudice for my GCSEs. And I remember that the 1995 television version started the week that we started studying Pride and Prejudice, the book. And I was like, this is such a crazy coincidence. And now I realize I'm sure it was like completely planned by the BBC because it was on the syllabus. But and then I did an English and American literature degree, and I studied all of Jane Austen's books in that too.
Did you have a favourite?
My favourite at the time was Mansfield Park.
Wow, both of you.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
We haven't done Mansfield Park here yet.
Yeah. Well, no spoilers. But I think that, I think it just, I don't know what it was about it. Just, I think that Fanny Price was very different from the other heroines. I just kind of liked the fact that she was like awkward and weird, whatever.
And it's the creation of a show within a show as well that would appeal to your career.
But I also, having listened to the podcast and having been like, I rewatched all of the 1995 Pride and Prejudice.
What a good friend.
Yeah. But I loved it. It was so great. And so my affection for Pride and Prejudice has been renewed as well, like through this process. So that's maybe like, it's top of the charts right now.
Yeah.
I'd like you to reread Mansfield Park.
Yes, I should do that. Well, I'll do that when we get to it.
We will.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Fire Island, because this is a film that, spoiler alert, and just to look under the bonnet of what we've been trying to do here to get this Austenverse on the road. When we first started out, we were still trying to work out how to do the show, Lisa and myself. And so we sort of came up with the idea, which is a very podcasty idea. It's like, well, I'll look at a project and you look at a project and we can talk to each other about it. And God, what did I choose? You had Fire Island.
And you had Clueless.
I had Clueless, right? This before we did the solo Clueless episode.
Yeah.
And then we would talk to each other about it. And we thought that was the way to do it. And it just didn't work that way. It wasn't.
It was so rushed because we had so much to talk about with Clueless that we didn't have an opportunity to talk about Fire Island and give it its proper weight.
Yeah. So we put it on the back shelf, on the back burner, and waited for an opportunity for it to come up again. And this felt like the perfect time and a perfect guest to do it. Have you been to Fire Island?
I have not been to the real Fire Island, sadly.
The real Fire Island? You've been to
I've been to the movie Fire Island.
Okay.
A couple of times.
But you've never been to me.
I've been to the nightclub Fire Island in Gold Coast. That's not real. No, I haven't. I haven't been there personally. No, I'm pure in thought and deed. So I just engaged on a very pure level with this film.
Do you know people who've been to Fire Island? Is it?
Yes, of course.
Like,
yes. It's, I mean,
but are your contemporaries people who are going to Fire Island?
Yeah,
now?
It's a big thing for New York gays, basically. You know, it's in Long Island, so it's not far outside of New York. And it's a big thing, as we obviously see in the movie, for gay men and lesbians to go to Fire Island for like a weekend or 5 days, because they only get like 5 days leave a year or something in America.
Crazy.
So they're not going to the other side of the world. They're going up to Fire Island. So yeah, absolutely, it's a big thing. And of course, because of the massive gay community that gathers there through the summer months, you know, people do gigs up there. So a lot of performers that we know in New York are going there to do gigs and things like that. So, and I think it's a sort of place where it's like, you might not earn a massive amount of money to do a gig on Fire Island, but you're going to have a fun time. So lots of people are like, oh yeah, let's do that and maybe stay for the weekend and do some of the things that we see in this film.
And this film has a great sort of origin story because it started at Quibi. Do you remember when Quibi they were trying to make Quibi a thing? So
can you explain that for people who don't remember Quibi?
Oh God, Quibi was going to be another streaming service, but it was going to be like really, you know, even cheaper, and they were going to put more money into it.
Was
short movies, right?
It was just like classic capitalism, where they were like, people are consuming content in a much shorter way. So
people like Vine.
Yeah, we're going to capitalize to like billions of dollars this entire new thing, which is only going to create short stuff. And of course, people were like, I don't know.
I don't want to subscribe to that.
I just want to watch bits of podcasts on TikTok and like clips from TV shows. I don't want you to try and make something that fits into that.
Yeah.
So
I like people falling over.
Yes. Yeah. So this was originally going to be on Quibi. And did you notice there's a Quibi joke?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
Margaret Cho delivers.
says, yeah, I was an original investor in Quibi. That's why she's got no money. Yeah.
But it's written by Joel Kim Booster, who also stars as Noah. It's really well written, can I just say, straight out the bat. I think this is a really great adaptation.
Yeah.
We've spoken many times on the pod about what makes good adaptation. Should it stay true to Jane? Should it veer off? I've always been a fan of make modern versions of Jane Austen, and this fits right into that camp for me, camp being the ultimate word. But the cast is really, really good. And I think that the way that this is, like, I suppose, shone a light on a different type of class structure and race structure, which certainly is something that Joel wanted to do in this. And he mentions it in the script too.
Yeah.
And talk about how the LGBTQI community does have a structure. And so I guess, can you speak a little bit more to that for those who don't know this, that I think there's a terrific line that he says in the script, which is, in our community, money isn't just a form of currency. Race, masculinity, and abs are just the few metrics we use to separate ourselves into upper and lower classes. So I think that's really interesting.
I agree. And I think it is such a smart way of adapting the novel because, yeah, obviously with Jane Austen's works, as with anything that's sort of hundreds of years old, it can be tricky to transfer it to modern day where we don't have the same super rigid, explicit class structures. And so they do work best with something like Clueless, with like high school, which does have that sort of really you really know like where you sit on the pecking order. And I think, that as a commentary on the gay community, it really, really works as well, because obviously the gay community, the queer community, it's like, it's more than one thing. And there's all sorts of like places where you can find different communities within the queer community. But it's also quite smart to go somewhere like Fire Island, where it's like we're going to this specific party, and the parties are so stressful for them to go to, because those are the places where everything is really explicit, and you can't hide the fact that the people who score well on those markers are the most desired. And it does explore all of those things, like money, race, abs, like all of that. I think it deals really well with
body fat, like 7% body fat.
Exactly. The way that it weaves all of those in, I think, is really smart, and that each of the characters has different elements of like either those identities or the ways that they're perceived, that they feel insecure about, or that they are not valued for or are valued more for. I think it's super smart, and it kind of, in many ways, it's a really faithful adaptation in terms of the structure of the story.
Agree.
And I think
100%.
the things that they have tweaked work really well. Like, for example, the fact that Bowen Yang's character Howie is sort of a combination of Jane and Charlotte Lucas. I think that works really, really well, so that he's the confidant of Noah, but also has that storyline of, I don't deserve anything more, but doesn't end up going off with the Mr. Collins character with the headbands, is able to be snatched from there and get its happy ending with the Mr. Bingley character.
But what I found interesting with the Bowen Yang character is also there's the level of honesty in which he can talk to Noah, which allows him to skewer, but also for us as an audience, for us to acknowledge those commentaries. So, for example, when he's there referring to, you chose to do all of this, like you are actively pursuing what it is to be gym fit. And the Bowen Yang character, forgive me, Howie. is not so preoccupied with that. And so I think that within that, I mean, the intersectionality is so specific, but also I feel as though there is a truthfulness and an explicitness about wants and needs within a gay community, which is a lot more transparent than in a heterosexual community. And in light of that, it does lend itself so well to that societal ideals that you see in Regency culture.
And such a specific thing as well for, if you're in a queer or a gay space that is aimed at, broadly speaking, gay men. I'm sure it's similar in the lesbian community, although there's a lot of differences, obviously. But if you go to a party as a straight person, it's going to be full of straight people. You've got a sense of like, there's the guys and the girls. Whereas as a gay man going to a party that's aimed at gay men, it's sort of like, there's everyone here, and how do I compare to them? And like everyone is either looking at me or not looking at me. I'm looking at them, not looking at them. Or like, I could be two guys that I both think are cute, and then they get off with each other. And like, and you really get that in this movie. Like, it's so the sense of I'm comparing myself to these people, and also I'm attracted to them. And so it's so much more painful if they're not attracted to me, or they dump me for someone else, because it's not just that I'm comparing myself to the person they went for, but it's also themselves. It's complicated.
It is complicated. I think using the friends as a sort of proxy for the sisters is really, really clever too. I think that having them being almost like at times a 1-for-1 with particularly the Kitty and Lydia types. So
we've got
amazing.
we've got the 5 friends who have gone to Fire Island. They're staying with Margaret Cho, who is the Mrs. Bennet to a certain extent, but also the Mr. Bennet and also the Mrs. Gardner. Because,
and also just mother.
Yes.
Yeah, but and that's the Mrs. Gardner of it too. Like she provides real guidance and advocacy for them, which I think is very nice. But so they're going to stay in her house, which, I mean, can we just have a moment for the set direction?
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And just, seeing her house and how lovely it is. And it just seems so homely and gorgeous. And then you see Charlie's house and it's
cold and beautifully designed.
but it's stunning.
Yeah.
And it's more aspirational and it's all of those things. It's the Netherfield and it feels, you can see.
It's a different strata. It's not just like a bit more expensive. It's a whole other level. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really interesting aspect as to, of course, the actual, as far as the social currency, but then the absolute financial currency and what that means within a society, and whether you are a doctor or a lawyer or whether you work in a restaurant but just are very well read. Can we talk about so if we're looking at those 5 friends, I mean, for me, the Kitty and Lydia,
Amazing.
oh my gosh, like their trajectory, the way that they make us feel. So we've got Luke and Keegan. The way they make us feel is exactly the way a Kitty and a Lydia should, which is just appalled and embarrassed.
But also hilarious.
And also they're fun. They're the most fun at the party.
They're more fun than most Kitty and Lydias are.
But that's the thing I think that's super smart about it, because once you say, well, this is going to be a group of friends, they're going to represent the sisters, then you can't sort of have the idea of like, oh my God, we hate these two, but we're totally bound to them by family. You've got to understand why they remain friends with them, even if they are annoyed by them all the time. And I think you really do get that, because they are fun and funny and they have heart as well. I think much more than you often see with Kitty and Lydia. But they also are extremely annoying and embarrassing and make poor choices all the time. So, yeah, but they're just so funny. I mean, that moment where the others come over for dinner and they say, we're going to play some games. And, Will's kind of like, oh, not going to play games. I'm an adult. And then we sort of snap. They're like, oh, it's going to be super chill. And they snap to them.
Not getting like Marissa
Tomei. And just like, it's just so well done. It's a simple idea, but they just sell it so well. And there's a lot of like just great lines in this movie. You don't really understand why the lines themselves are that funny, but they're just like perfectly pitched and they're delivered really well.
Well, it feels like that they're off the cuff too, as it's when they're seeing the sunset. And I think it's actually Max. I think he goes, I'm proud of you, girl. Proud of you, girl. You said, which is just a perfect line.
Yes.
See you tomorrow.
Yes.
It's a really, really clever, simple line that is so camp and so brilliant.
Yeah. And it's also
so quotable.
I think, it's this, the camp of it all, I think is so interesting in this movie, because they all have elements of that. It's not that Luke and Keegan are completely different kinds of gay men from the others. It's kind of that they dial it up a little bit more, but there's also just a little less self-awareness. And so like there's a lot for our more central characters of like silly camp stuff, but they're smart and there's inverted commas around it, which is such an important part of camp. And then sometimes with like Luke and Keegan, you sort of are like, are you doing this for fun, or is this actually just all that's in your brain? You know what I mean? But but that's also, it's sweet because there's sort of almost like childlike innocence to them. They don't have the angst that the others have most of the time because maybe they're not as complicated.
What did we feel about Conrad Ricamora, who plays Will, who's the Darcy in this storyline? I actually think when he first started, I was like, I'm not sure I'm buying this, but actually as he went on, I think
Not sure buying it in what way?
I didn't know if I bought his stature within the group. And so therefore I didn't feel like the tension was set up well enough. But actually, I don't know if that was just me trying to get my head around, okay, whose character's playing what? And, you're still learning everybody. And the great thing about this movie is that it's an hour 45 and it's punchy and funny. So you're having to rush your romantic comedy a little bit in an old school 90s style, but that's great.
I think when you first meet Conrad Ricamora, I agree that both times I've watched it, or maybe it's more than twice, but like each time I've watched it, when I've first seen it, I have to be a bit like, oh yeah, because there's so many like good-looking men, and we're meeting like all of these, like, and then he sort of doesn't seem as imposing, but then they do something very smart, which is then the second time we meet him, he's like presumably just coming from a run or something. And he's all sweaty with his top off, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I understand now. There's a bit more to the interest in this guy, but it's also as the movie goes on, you are more and more engaged with him, and that's obviously the journey that we have with Noah. So yeah, I think it's smart.
Yeah. The change rather than the line that he's given is that Noah is not
Mm.
hot
enough to be that annoying. Yeah.
I mean,
that's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also isn't that really what I mean, it's perfect.
Yes. Yeah. And you can totally understand why that would really dig Noah, because that's kind of what he thinks about himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it rings true that someone would say something like that.
Absolutely.
And that they would mean it, but also that person could then be falling in love with that person. I think it's really well pitched. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know about this idea that everyone, it's fundamentally either boring or annoying.
Wait,
you have to volunteer which you are, which I think is super easy. I think we're all annoying.
Oh,
I definitely identify as annoying. But if you had to pick,
yeah.
Oh, I would want to be annoying.
I'd rather be
100%,
annoying than boring.
100%. But it is kind of like, it's an interesting thing when you like, if I had to pick one, you just think about all of the people you know, you're like, yeah, I can,
yeah,
I know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
But please let us know whether you think we're boring or annoying.
Don't. We already know.
We can't be both. Just remember that. Yeah. Can I do a little sidebar? Are we aware of the O'Mary connection here? That two of our principal actors here are from the original Broadway cast of O'Mary.
Who?
So Conrad Ricamora played Abraham Lincoln in the original Broadway cast of O'Mary.
And James Scully.
Yeah, James Scully, who plays
I love
Charlie,
James Scully in this movie.
He was Mary's teacher in O'Mary, both in the original Broadway cast.
Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of Broadway actors.
Yeah.
Nick Adams, who's the Caroline Bingley type.
Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah, he was the original Adam Felicia.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
Yeah.
Keeping it gay.
Yes.
Margaret Cho. Let's talk about just what an icon.
Icon. Yes.
And I think having her in the film really is so great to ground the storyline and to have this sort of mother figure, but also we're finding her. Well, I think one of my favorite things was she's trying to just be like, it's not about that. He's going to be fine and everything's going to be okay. And you don't need to fix him. Oh my God, my baby's drowning.
Yeah.
And it's just, she has such great comedy chops that it just gives you another angle and it brings in the lesbian thing.
She's putting the show in chops.
She's put the show in chops.
Totally. And she's basically the only female character. Well, there's no straight characters in the movie at all.
That's good. You don't miss it.
Yeah. But we're on Fire Island. And she's basically the only female character. And of course, it makes sense for her to be there in so many ways. She's a queer icon. She's an Asian icon. The role suits her so well. She's of a generation. It makes sense that she would be this mother figure to these gay men. And also, I'm sure that it helped the movie because she's well known. So I think it was all super smart and she's great in it. So yeah, I love that. And also there was a bit of a Twitter thing I remember at the time of people talking about
the time of Twitter.
Yes, exactly. Which also is mentioned in this movie. Twitter's mentioned early on. I'm like, oh yeah, it's very 2022. But there was a minor Twitter storm where someone was talking about how Fire Island doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And of course, there was so much eye rolling. And Alison Bechdel weighed in and was like, I'm going to officially have a caveat to the Bechdel test that, like when it's a movie about gay men on Fire Island, it's fine, doesn't count.
It's also interesting because there are so many Asian Americans behind it. And I don't want to speak to the community because none of us are Asian American, obviously. But I found that some of the stuff that Joel was writing in it, the microaggressions, the micro-racisms that were happening there too. Not just the guys like what they call a rice queen later on who was trying to bed Bowen Yang and trying to bed any
the Mr. Collins.
The Mr. Collins role. But actually things like when he goes to the house, is it Braden who doesn't recognize him every time?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
And the rudeness of like presuming that he might be help or we're assuming that he's help and him having to shut Braden down every time and just little things like that I think is really interesting in keeping that sort of class structure that quite loved in this as well, but using it with race, gives it a modern take, which I think is really, really powerful.
Yeah, agreed. And it's something that it is a thing in the gay community.
God.
I mean, it's a thing, in society as a whole, but it's a thing in the gay community. And the fact that they talk about that explicitly and they're able to include it as a sort of important thread and an important factor for our central characters without making it feel preachy or like taking away from it being an enjoyable rom-com. Doesn't feel like it's something that weighs down the story. It sort of like gives it depth and makes it feel more real and makes us care about the characters more. I think it's super smart, and
It is
really
smart.
works.
And it's like two of the modern things we've done of Austen's now has been Bride and this.
Yeah, Bride and Prejudice last
And
week.
both of them talk about race within it from the perspective of the people who are the leads of it, who are people of color.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting that Jane's adaptation it lives in that space really naturally and actually helps it.
Yeah, agreed.
Thanks, white man, for explaining race. I feel really proud of myself today, guys.
Can we talk about the Dex storylines? This is the Mr. Wickham of the piece.
Zane Phillips,
who is
super handsome. My God.
He's absurd.
Who is his trainer?
Yeah.
Because
those are some arms.
Those are some arms.
Indeed.
Anyway, I'm off track.
So he is brought in. He has a similar trajectory as Mr. Wickham. However, we have the aspect where he suggests that Will, the Mr. Darcy character, doesn't like him because he is an OnlyFans creator.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually shames Luke, who is the Liddy character, it is because he has posted a video of Luke online.
Without consent.
And we don't even know if Luke consented because he says, I don't remember the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on here, which is kind of swept away with comedy, I think, because of time. But there's a little wrinkle here about how this should be handled.
Well, I think the economy of it really works because I know you've talked before about how with the 2005 movie of Pride and Prejudice versus the 1995 series, obviously there's more time in the TV series to explore stuff in depth because they're adapting a whole novel. And I thought that was a really smart way of dealing with the Wickham stuff in a way that doesn't blow out the length of the movie or take us down like rabbit holes that it doesn't need to do. Because I was like, that does, like, it holds together as a parallel. It makes sense, the idea of that we wouldn't think well of Will if we thought that he was being judgmental about being an OnlyFans creator, but then the thing that happens is in the same world, but is something that is obviously a very different thing. And the fact that Will, as a lawyer, is able to, just as Mr. Darcy is, step in and use his privilege or his sort of like his advantages to help solve the situation. And so, I thought the economy of that was really, really smart. And it didn't feel like it felt like it was earned, and it felt like that would make sense, that our central characters would follow, that their feelings about that character of Dex would.
And it keeps it in the rom-com, which I think is really important too, because I feel like we've had so many gay stories. We have a group chat, and we were talking about heated rivalry, and you and our other friend who'd seen it, we're talking about the fact that it's just refreshing that nothing sad happens in a gay story. It's not boys in the band anymore.
Well, it's not
eternal angst, and we have to play that out. And I think this fits into that canon too, which is the new world of this.
Yeah. Agreed. Like, and they get their happy endings, so to speak. But
I think they get more than that. What is it? The meat walk?
No, the meat. Oh,
rack.
Meat rack. That's
the
right.
meat rack.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you would walk the meat down the meat rack. Yeah.
I think it's well pitched. It does. It's not a sort of sanitized or like rosy version of, like, they get into all of that stuff that we've talked about that is complicated and difficult in gay culture, but they're able to grow and learn, and they reach the end of their time on Fire Island, and you think, oh yeah, maybe they're going to be okay.
Oh, I found the end really moving.
Oh, especially with the two.
The old guys.
The old guys dancing. That's what I want. To Donna Summer. Oh, she's going.
Oh God,
That's it.
I knew you'd love that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I did find it a little. I felt like it contrasted a little bit when they're sitting there and sort of the conversation around, but I don't think I'm interested in monogamy and that kind of stuff, but then, but that's what I want. You know what I mean? I was a bit like, it's not that it doesn't logically make sense, but I wasn't sure. But I thought they landed at the end. But
Can you explain that more?
So when Will and Noah are sitting on the dock at the end, the conversation they're having, I don't remember
This
it.
between the Lizzie and the Darcy character.
Yeah, so I don't remember it word for word, but it's sort of a sense of like, okay, so, maybe we could like be something. And then Noah's sort of like, I don't know if I want monogamy, still very much kind of pushing it away. And Will said, well, what do you want? And he says, I want that. I'm like, well, hang on, what is that? I mean, like I said, it's not that it can't logically be true that like a long-lasting love and monogamy are not the same thing. But I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure what's going on here. But I thought they landed it by just basically Will was like, why don't we just take it one day at a time?
Monogamy and heteronormative is sort of linked arm in arm and criticised a lot by Noah throughout the film a lot.
That's true. I think that's also part of it, that monogamy specifically had not really been brought up as a concept to my memory, or certainly for Noah. So, but maybe that is what it was. Maybe that's that does make sense, that maybe he's in a place of, oh, I don't want to commit to something that I think has to be such and such. I think it's smart that they had Will say, well, let's just see what happens. Like, let's do it. Let's see what happens tomorrow, basically. And then we'll worry about the day after that. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Underwear parties, how much of a thing are they? And it seems like that would be the most stressful thing in the world, is preparing for an underwear party.
So, okay. As I said, I haven't been to Fire Island. I have been, to like gay nightclubs in New York and other places in America. The American scene is maybe, no, I don't know. I don't know whether the American scene is more sort of, what's the word? I suppose that like the party scene is less various than it is other places.
Right.
Because like, I mean, I don't party that much anymore, but I never went to an underwear party, to my knowledge, to my memory.
But if Dex could get a hold of any videos.
Like there's big gay party scene in Sydney that are, like day parties, and like they're a very specific kind of thing. And like, that's great. But like, I never really did that. I went to other kinds of nights, clubs and parties and things like that. And so, but I think that's something about Fire Island, that was a specific location. And so
there is like, an underwear party on the island.
Maybe that's what the scene is there. Yeah. That's why I thought it was interesting that there's a sense of like, oh God, we are terrified of this. We don't want to go. We feel terrible about ourselves. But they don't go, well, shall we not go?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we have to go, and I do understand that sort of draw. Well, we're here on Fire Island. We want to have a good time. We also want to hook up, and this is the place that we have to go to do that. But yeah, I look at that and I'm like, that's a very specific kind of scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, maybe the American scene is a bit different, and maybe everyone just feels like they have to go to those sorts of parties. But yeah, you won't catch me there. I'm not saying I've never been in my underwear at a party, but yeah.
But he was wearing the underwear.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
on his head.
Yeah, and even they had to go at Will because he wasn't in his underwear. He was in like shorts.
Yes.
They were like, he's not even in his underwear.
And it's never explained why he's in shorts.
Well, I think it's just they're trying to demonstrate that he's a bit more modest and not really in the swing of the party.
But, right.
He wasn't wearing a three-piece suit.
No. But he did go to that back room and was like, woohoo. He just was looking around. Gooey. What are you doing over there?
Yes.
All right. I have another thing to jump in with, and that is the song Fire Island by the Village People.
Yes.
This is a favourite of yours.
I forgot about that.
Well, I mean, when you say favourite of mine...
Well, you're the only other person I know who knows it and will play it every once in a while.
I love the Village People. I love them so hard.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's quite a lot right now.
Yeah, when this was replaced by that.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Anyway.
Yeah, but prior to the misappropriation of YMCA, I was a big Village People fan.
So I wanted to know if they still, because of the fact that they've now legally said, I think, what's his name now? Victor Willis, who's the only OG member who's in the group now, has threatened to sue any news publication that refers to the YMCA as a gay song.
That's right. They're trying to sort of pretend that there's nothing gay about the Village People or YMCA.
By the way,
they're like, no, we never meant that. It's just been misappropriated over the years, and you know, we were all very happy with
By the
our
way,
wives, and there was no indication of anything going on in
You
those
might want to
shows.
look left to the leather man in your group and ask him what he thinks.
Yes, we just wanted to hang out with all the boys.
By the way, like, for those who don't know overseas, who are listening in, thank you for tuning in. But in Australia, on New Year's Eve, on the network that I work on, Channel 9, every year at midnight, once the fireworks are done and they like, yeah, it's the fireworks, Happy New Year, everybody. It goes straight into Can't Stop the Music. And it's like this tradition that's always happened. I was taken to see Can't Stop the Music by my grandmother.
I feel like that's a movie that was more successful here. Like,
it was the biggest movie here. It was a flop everywhere else.
Yeah.
So Can't Stop the Music was so massive here that I think it kept their career going for a little bit longer.
So Can't Stop the Music is a roller skating Steve Guttenberg.
No, that's just the opening scene. And that's
just the opening scene.
Guy, what are you kidding? There's the milkshake. There's so much going on. There's Caitlyn Jenner. It's a big film. In Australia. Well, so I want to know if they are still singing the song Fire Island after threatening the fact that, nothing gay here, nothing gay to see here.
The words to Fire Island.
No, please, Lisa.
Oh, you're going to recite them?
Well, I mean, don't go in the bushes. Don't go in the bushes. Someone might grab you. Someone might grab you. Don't go in the bushes. Don't go in the bushes, because someone might
stab you.
I know.
I don't think they mean stab though.
I think they mean
meatwalk.
The stab.
Yeah.
Although I'm only assuming the lyrics. It's just an interpretation.
I know, saying don't go in the bushes.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're saying.
No, but apparently there's
Don't go in the
like
bushes.
nightclubs and stuff that reference in that. I mean, the guys who created the Village People knew what they were doing.
The Village refers to the gay village.
Yeah.
We don't need to spend too much time trying to make the case that there's something a bit gay about Village People. I think,
However, I looked at the thing called setlist.fm, which I go to if bands are touring. And the last time they performed this song was in Finland in November. They opened with Fire Island.
Wow.
So they know exactly what they're doing.
Can we talk about the fact that Jane Austen loved the Navy?
Oh, it's true.
Oh my God, another comparison to the Village People.
There you go.
Do you remember that time I got?
I was about to just bring it up.
Okay.
What?
David Campbell has had...
Navy?
No.
Okay.
He has sailed the seven seas. He has been approached. Two people have slipped into David Campbell's DMs over the years. One of them was Ricky Martin.
No,
Congratulations.
He did, and he called you Mister, which...
that was just a congratulations and a hi, and that was just a nice thing.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's like Village People. There's nothing gay about it.
I love Ricky.
People need to get their minds out of the gutter.
And the second one was the Native American of the Village People who invited you up to his hotel room.
Felipe.
Look, and did you have a good time? How was it?
Well, no. Well, look.
Also, this was relatively recently.
Is he still at the same hotel? Come on, we can still make this happen.
No, I interviewed. I understand in retrospect now where the mixed signals would have come in, because
you interviewed him in an extremely enthusiastic manner.
You told him about Can't Stop the Music.
We talked about Can't Stop the Music, and we talked about the fact that June Havoc is in Can't Stop the Music. Of course,
it's baby June.
And I asked
Actual
him,
baby June, the real baby June.
The real legit baby
Yes.
June Havoc from Gypsy. And so I asked him, because I was like, well, I'm never going to find out, but what was she like? And Felipe was very much like very engaged by this point. And I'm like, that was a really good interview. And then I was like, well, should we try and get tickets and to go see the show? And you were like, just, I think I called.
Don't pull me into this.
Yeah, I did. You want
Felipe just...
he called me up and said, left me a message and said, give me a call. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll give him a call. I woke him up from a disco nap.
Oh, the only kind of nap he takes.
And yeah, I realized that he realized that we were like, oh, no, sorry, no, that's just not. I just wanted to come say hi and see the show.
Oh, my wife.
Yeah, but he did. Remember, he sent me his Christmas card.
I do remember. It was him like this in front of two giant Christmas baubles.
Wait, was he doing the Y?
Yeah, pretty much.
just on his own, just the one.
Yeah. It was
But
very
he
funny.
looked like the penis. One of these looked
Between
like
the two balls were festive balls behind him, but also they had a double entendre.
I think he had that card specially made for you. I don't think anyone else got that right here. It's just like, look at what you could have had.
Oh dear. It was strange. If I could go back and tell that young fella that went and saw Can't Stop the Music.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say young fella. I was like, you were like 47. This wasn't that long ago.
It was longer than 47, but yes, it was in recent memory. Okay, so does this movie work as an adaptation for us all? What do we think?
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I think that, I mean, some of the stuff we've already talked about, like, I think that there's really neat parallels that work really well in a way that don't feel labored because they're dealt with in a really economical way. And they don't sort of drag our story to a different place. It's really impressive how the strands all fit together. And you feel like, oh yeah, this is a community that I believe exists, and they don't have to kind of be like, oh, but actually the Navy's coming to town. You know, like they're not like that labored with the parallels. Although that would also probably work. The village people are coming to town.
It feels consistently satisfying in a similar way that Bride and Prejudice was as well, that you have moments that lend themselves to the Pride and Prejudice structure. So therefore, the fact that you have the Tea Party, and that's an established event within the Fire Island community, and also it, of course, lends itself in every way. The only thing that I felt was a little, and this is me being really, really picky.
Okay, we can pick it.
Is Will writing
The letter.
to Noah?
But
I know they don't have reception.
No, but he lost his phone, or we went in the pool.
The phone went in the pool.
Yeah.
The phone went in the pool.
Yeah.
And it was in the rice, remember? So he had to write to
Of
him.
course, he put the phone.
And
in
that was
the
a great. I actually thought that was a clever conceit because it gave a little ode to Austen because he had to go hardcore.
And it would work for Noah because Noah is like literary and, you know, like reads books.
What did we think of Will's dancing at the drag brunch? I felt like that was a bit.
Yeah.
Went for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they wanted
Not
to
as long
show
as
us that
Bowen
he-
singing sometimes.
Oh, yes.
We haven't even talked about Las Culturistas.
No, we
Oh,
haven't.
Yes.
So obviously since this,
No,
no. I mean, but they've gone like sky
Yes.
high since
Oh, but
this.
this was when
existed.
they
Yes.
they didn't meet here. No.
No.
The fact that we both really jumped on you before you said
I
anything.
know. Good Lord. Okay, so they met at university, but Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers, who's Luke Lydia, had a podcast way before the movie. Steady on. And since the movie, not because of the movie, but this podcast has gone on to Stratospheric Heights, and they now last year they had their own award show,
Which was amazing. The award show was
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
Can you think of any highlights of that award show for people who missed it?
Oh, good. Well, oh gosh, no, I can't remember any specifics. But they just had very funny award categories. And yeah, go ahead. Yes, what?
My favorite was like the it was like an in memoriam
Yes.
for people who didn't turn up, or people who they had invited who said no.
Just the fact that they filled a massive auditorium with all those stars and fans.
Yeah.
For an award show of a podcast that they just made up.
Silly
was incredible.
Silly categories. Yes. It was like, I remember when I didn't know anything about it until it happened. I remember seeing clips on TikTok and I was kind of like, wait, what, like, have they AI'd this? Like, what is this? Or is this some kind of a skit? I like the fact that they had what looked like a proper, I don't know where it was, proper award ceremony. Look, all of the glitz and glamour and the television, like, you know, spectacle of it all. Great celebrities, but
Lisa Rinna.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
But their categories were things like best vibe, hands down, kindest greeting, best breakfast.
Best movie of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fabulous.
The Moon Award for shining brightly and the Sun Award for so effing hot.
They're fabulous. Joel Kim Booster.
Yes.
Just about to go to Scrubs.
Amazing choice.
Yeah.
Amazing choice.
That's supposed to be.
That's very soon. Scrubs is going to drop soon.
and it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah. Scrubs has always been really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe with Joel Kim Booster, it might.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not anti-Scrubs.
Bowen's is left or is about to leave SNL.
Yes.
Oh no, I think left with the Ariana episode,
Yes,
right?
He just left.
And so now, do we think more movies from Bowen? What's going to happen?
100%.
Definitely. Oh, 100%. Yes. Off the back of Wicked. Yes, definitely. Or probably developing his own television show, a sitcom or something. Yeah, definitely. Definitely all of that. Yeah. And good, because who doesn't love him?
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
He's like American Alan Carr, I think. It's just like everyone's just like, oh, I love him. Always pleased to see him in something, like either as himself or acting in something. Yeah, he's great.
Yes. Yeah, he's wonderful. Okay, have we got anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Richie?
I just wanted to I mention a few things.
Please do. Honorable mentions.
That rang really true as a gay man, because it's also kind of specifically 30s gay story, like of gay men in their 30s. I thought it was a particular experience, which
you remembered.
Yeah.
Are these the Richies? The Richie Awards?
First of all, we mentioned already the idea of like going every year to somewhere that you find really stressful and toxic, or like going to a party being like, oh my God, I'm so anxious, I don't want to do this thing, but we have to go. Also the line, can I trade someone a Crest White Strip for a PrEP pill?
Yeah, yes, I heard that. But that was done as they were leaving a room. It was just, it was like, wasn't even on camera.
There's a lot of those great lines and you don't see who's delivering it even. And so that suggests to me they probably just did a lot of ad-libbing or like throwing stuff around, and then they chucked in the best lines in the edit, as ADR.
Very Austenland.
Yes. Obviously counting down to the sunset and then saying, I'm proud of you, girl, you set.
I'm going to do that every time now.
Yes, 100%. Oh, gays on Grindr on the dance floor at a party. I thought that was really that was really 2022 as well. The idea of being at this party, but also on your phone on Grindr, because it's somehow easier to just look at people and like, or say hello to people on Grindr rather than like making eye contact. That was really particular kind of thing. Yeah. And that's something that I'm old enough to be. Obviously, I remember nightclubs before Grindr, and now, this is a whole other conversation, and I'm sure it's the same in straight culture as well. But certainly in gay culture, it's kind of, it depends on the context and the place. But a lot of gay bars, and I think for a lot of people even a bit younger than us, and certainly people in their 20s now, the idea of going up to someone and chatting them up in a bar is seen almost as like an act of
aggression.
Yeah, it's like bothering someone. Yeah, it's like sexual harassment or something. And I mean, of course, that's a generalization.
Yes,
of course. But like, I think certainly when I was young, if you had someone come and try and chat you up, you could be into it. But if you weren't into it, it was kind of like, oh, that's really nice, it's flattering, and you sort of just know how to but you're not like, oh, what the hell is wrong with that person? Unless they behave in a particular way.
No.
Whereas people, obviously, we know that younger people are so much more comfortable texting than speaking on the phone or in real, all that kind of stuff, and that definitely translates to dating as well. And so you definitely
I think that translates to straight culture. I mean, that's what we're trying to do with like younger people now, is like get them off their phones so that they know what rejection is, particularly young men.
Yeah. So
they can handle rejection, so they can just get over it and get on with life and move on.
Yes, but I'd never thought of it in those terms, about the fact that I can completely see people saying, oh, I can't handle the discomfort of having to let you down. Like, that makes me feel uncomfortable that I am being put in that position. So how dare you put me in that position to... Yeah, so it would be Lizzie. It would be Lizzie turning around and saying, how dare you, Mr. Collins, make me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I think it's not even only if you're not attracted to the person or potentially interested in the person. I think there's a sense of, oh, I'm being put in a position where I'm having to think about this in real time and look at you, and I'm being perceived. And it's just, I think there's something interesting about the way that the very act of going up to someone you don't know and sort of politely introducing yourself, or like,
offering them a drink,
can be seen as something that is negative. Again, I'm generalizing. I'm sure there are plenty of occasions still where someone walks up to someone else in a bar, and if they think they're hot, they're thrilled about it.
It doesn't matter.
But the generalization of it and the idea of getting out your phone at a party and being on Grindr and looking at other people who are at that party and messaging them there, and then potentially, hopefully then being like, where are you? Let's meet by the whatever, is much easier for people to engage with than actually walking up to someone or making eye contact across the dance floor and things like that. Yeah. I thought that the fact that they acknowledged drug use was also I thought that was great. And they did it in a playful way. That is obviously a big part of the party scene, and I'm sure the Fire Island gay party scene. So I thought that was smart. One of the funniest lines in the movie for me is, again, so simple. Like early on, I think the first time just after they first met Will and Charlie, and they're sort of following them so they don't get away, and Bowen falls down the steps.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And one of them, I think it's Keegan, you just hear him saying, she fell. It's just like, I don't know why it's so funny. It's like, yes, we know. Obviously, the fact that he says she fell, it just like compounds the embarrassment.
She is always funny.
It's like
always
it's
funny.
said with such concern, but also it's so oblivious to the fact that it makes it even more embarrassing. Every time I had that in my head all the time. But yes, I completely agree. I think that yes, gay men or anyone in the camp community, which I include all of you, yes, referring to people as she is very enjoyable.
Oh, it's so pleasurable.
It just keeps a little bit of that old school gay alive, that sort of like Polari and all that stuff from the old days when, people like had to have their own languages for all sorts of reasons that we kind of know and don't have time to go into. But I think it's nice, and it's sort of like, it demonstrates an investment in the sort of gay traditions and lineage, not to overstate it, but I think it's nice.
It's historical.
Yeah,
handed
exactly.
down.
It's gay culture.
Well,
that was it. That was Fire Island. Book your tickets now.
Absolutely. I say do go in the bushes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll call Felipe.
I would heartily recommend this film.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very quotable. And it makes me want to now go back and watch My Cousin Vinny again.
True.
Yeah.
Which I have not seen since it came out.
There you go.
And they say, you couldn't get Marissa Tomei, but you got Alicia Vikander?
Yeah.
It's just like perfectly pitched. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thanks you, Richie.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you. So next week.
Oh, ooh, Richie.
Oh, God.
Okay. Well, next week we're going from the lovable, warm embrace of Fire Island
So, don't say that.
to a place where I really would advise you not to go in the bushes, which is
the moors.
Yeah. We are going to Wuthering Heights on So on Thursday, we have got a spectacular bonus episode with Zan Rowe.
Yes.
Discussing everything Kate Bush, everything Charlie XCX, and looking at the cultural impact of Wuthering Heights from a musical perspective.
The Wuthering Hits.
The Wuthering Hits.
Hit.
You.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We might steal that as a title.
Thanks.
Okay.
And then next week, we will be looking at Wuthering Heights, in inverted commas.
Emerald Fennell. Well, I think everyone in the world is going to be looking at this.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Bring it
book
on.
is so dark. Anyway.
So yes, we're gonna just go off. We're gonna go from Pemberley in Derbyshire, just up a little bit to the moors, and we'll be back down into the Austenverse, actually probably further down, all the way to Bath for Persuasion after that.
Deep teasers, everybody. Stay tuned. Tell your friends.
And geographical teasers.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.